what we know for sure right now is that it was something related to COVID-19 quarantine work, which we call anti-academic front in North Korea. And what we know so far is that this grave consequences that North Korean state media is talking about was led from an unspecified mistake from some of the maybe top officials in North Korea, and this actually seems to have led to major demotions and reshuffle in some of the power organs in North Korea.
There are still no confirmed cases in North Korea. What can you tell us about that? How likely is that?
They have been saying there's no confirmed cases. They have been testing more than 30,000 people so far, but they keep saying there's no confirmed cases, and they have been closing the border for more than a year. So there is definitely a possibility that they have been taking a good care of their situation, but the transparency of the data coming out of North Korea is pretty much unclear, and a lot of experts are raising eyebrows about the reliability of the data, but they have been continuing the emergency epidemic frontline for more than a year.
How might a country like North Korea deal with outbreaks if these occur? For example, how would the health system cope?
They have compared to other countries, of course, they have very poor infrastructure to deal with, and not only infrastructure for treatment, they also don't have enough facilities for mass testing, I believe. And even if vaccines go in, there could be some of the lack of technical preparedness, which could have been the thing that Gabby has been talking about when the vaccine doses that they pledged were delayed. But they claim to have rapid response teams in North Korea, but because we didn't see any confirmed outbreaks in North Korea, aside from one incident last year where they said there was a suspected incident, we didn't see it yet, so it's pretty much very unclear. But there is a reason why they are closing down the border that strictly. It's probably because the infrastructure is very lacking compared to global standards.
It really would be quite a challenge given the population of more than 25 million. With regards to its vaccination program, what would it look like? I understand it has access to the COVAX program, and presumably it could procure doses from China as well?
It seems so far what has been confirmed is that first, the AstraZeneca vaccines, 1.7 million doses of AZ vaccines that COVAX Gavi pledged to deliver, which was delayed because of technical preparedness as well as the global supply shortage due to incidents in India. There was another batch that the United States pledged recently of 500 million Pfizer vaccines, but not all of them is going into North Korea, but part of them. But it seems even with all those doses compiled, it's not enough to inoculate the whole population of North Korea.
Meanwhile, Jong-min, North Koreans have been worried about what's been described as Kim Jong-un's emaciated looks. What's being said about this?
This was first reported by NK News when we watched the difference in the watch strap of Kim Jong-un. It was changing, and it was actually quite a surprise to see North Korean state media directly talking about the appearance of North Korean leader, which rarely happens, but it seems the propaganda value there was that they wanted to emphasize how hardworking of a leader Kim Jong-un is while the country is going through so many difficulties like food crisis and economic difficulties nationwide. And they were basically using the word to say he looks tired, he looks thin, and they are heartbroken to see him working so hard.
Given that he has lost this weight, can you read into it at all in terms of what his people might be thinking about his leadership?
Many experts say that the reason why Kim Jong-un in the first place gained weight is to look more like the first leader, Kim Il-sung. And actually, these images are very important in North Korea because it's a hereditary dictatorship. And in order to prove legitimacy, they have to seem like a legitimate Kim Paek-do bloodline family. But in terms of how he is losing weight recently, well, some experts have been saying that it could be read as Kim Jong-un starving himself as well, along with his people, because of going through these food crisis, tightening the belt, but maybe, I don't think that was intended, but if they want to spin it like that, if the propaganda team in North Korea would definitely be able to use it like that.
And lastly, what's the likelihood that North Korea will engage with Joe Biden and his administration? Based on last week's comments by the foreign minister, it's not looking likely.
It seems that they are not interested, just like Lee Sung-won, the foreign minister, said, it seems that they are not interested in talks that will basically repeat what they have done before with former President Donald Trump, where U.S. is not changing their calculation on what they can give. It seems North Korea knows that U.S. is not willing to make any concessions first, so it seems that both sides are not budging. So I wouldn't say that it will happen anytime soon, but it seems they did leave a door crack open by making it conditional, saying they're not interested in talks. That will get them nowhere, and that will make them waste precious time. So technically, if the U.S. side comes up with something new, North Korea theoretically would be maybe open to re-engaging with Washington.
We'll wait and see. As always, Jong-min, good to talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
At least